All right, welcome back, everybody. For those of you who are looking to see our deep dive into the trilogy that is Sir No Face, I do apologize, but this is not it. We just need a little bit more time between watching it once and watching it again and going that far in depth. But we have another fun video for you guys because we've watched the entire filmography that, at least as of February 2023, of Chad Calek. And we were going to sit down and tell you what films we thought were best and which ones we thought were worst in order from worst to best. And since Sam and I have been on this journey, we figured, hey, it would be fun to kind of give you guys a look into how we think of them now that we've seen all of them. Obviously, when we just saw one or two, I think we had very different mindsets. But even today, I still think, maybe I don't like all of them, but that last one really tied things together. So, my name is Keegan. Joining me today is
Sam.
before we get into like our ranking, now that we've been away from watching his films for, not a whole week, but at least a couple days, how have they kind of like melded in your brain or processed in your brain?
I'm pretty strong on what I think about a lot of them. So yeah, I'm pretty confident in what I think is the worst and the best.
Yeah, and so just a warning to the audience, Sam and I don't know each other's lists, but I do at least think I think ours will be pretty similar outside of maybe the bottom one. I think we at least have a pretty same
Definitely.
like viewpoint of these films.
Yeah, I would agree.
So before we get to ranking them, let's let you guys know what films we're talking about. And for anyone, we'll have our reviews in the bottom because we have reviewed all of these. It's the first like director we've done this with, and won't be our last because I think Sam and I at least really enjoyed this, and it gives you a different perspective to look at somebody's films like this
True.
versus just looking at them singularly. And I think maybe with our next one, we've watched the first two already and reviewed them, but I might rewatch them all together just so I kind of get. I know Sam's already like, nah, no good. Can't give away too much. All right, so we took a look at American Ghost Hunter 2010, A Blood Red Sky 2015, Sir No Face 2018, Two Face of the Grey 2020, Phantom Rider 2020, and 74 Minutes, which at least on IMDb does not have a release date, but hey, it's free on Tubi, so go check it out. So I think what we'll do is we'll each give our rankings and then we'll explain why we think they are the way they are. So you will have two different lists. You'll have Sam's and mine, though I don't think they will differ too much. All right, so we will start with number six. And I think this is where Sam and I will be different, five and six perhaps, but I am saying Phantom Rider 2020 is my sixth ranked film of Chad's. Sam, what about you?
I'm saying American Haunting.
Yes, yeah, I knew you were gonna go American Ghost Hunter for that last
Oh
one.
yeah, American Ghost Hunter. Sorry.
So, do you want to tell, like, obviously you had a different experience watching it, and so it's totally understandable why it's your worst rank because it actually like physically hurt your eyes and made you feel like
Yeah, it was
not
just
good.
physically hard to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was always kind of like checking the time on it just
Mm.
to see when it was over. So I was and there's nothing bad about it. Like there was a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, it's not really interesting. It seemed like a good amount of it was like faked, or at least parts of it. There were some parts that like I don't know. There was like it's more could be more real, but like it just hurt my eyes.
Yeah, I mean it's totally understandable, especially I don't even know how long that sequence went on in the beginning, but there's a good amount of sequence that, it will hurt your eyes. If you've gone ever into a POV like found footage type of movie, like a Cloverfield, Diary of the Dead, Quarantine, something like that, and felt sick, you're gonna feel sick watching this. So the reason I picked Phantom Rider as my bottom compared to American Ghost Hunter, which I will spoil, and that's my number five. But I picked Phantom Rider just because American Ghost Hunter was his first film, and so I'm I understand there's going to be flaws. And while it's not my favorite, to see Phantom Rider have more flaws in the first half, to me at least, as far as like the structure of the film and just weird graphics and stuff, and that's like his second to most recent, it's a little bit not as like, you don't expect that as much. Like you feel like the more you do, the better you'll get. And that one just felt like such a regression plus almost just like supplementary stuff. Like it, like we said in our review, I was like, this could have just been like a bonus on a DVD. Like it never felt like it deserved to be a full documentary. And then the first, like I said, 30-40 minutes is this weird graphic of like dark browns and yellows, and perhaps this is just because he got in trouble for using footage, but that's why I put it. It just, to me, it was the most disappointing because up to then I didn't really love Sir No Face or Two Face the Gray, but at least there was that like, they felt pretty even kill as far as quality goes. And so to have that one that just didn't feel the same at all was kind of a disappointment. So that's why I put that at number 6. Sam, any final thoughts on your number 6 pick?
Not really.
Yeah, like I said, totally understandable. If it
Guys.
made me sick, I would have definitely put it at number 6 as well. So that brings us number 5, which I already spoiled mine, is American Ghost Hunter. So not much higher than Sam ranked it. It's Chad's first like film. I know he has like Ghost Prophecies before that, as well as some Paranormal State credits, but I think it's different doing a TV show versus a film. And so, is it perfect? No, but I can at least brush some of the mistakes aside compared to like Phantom Rider. Does that mean I think it's real or anything? This is just basically strictly on like the quality of the film, I think. But yes, it was very hard. I know me and Sam kept commenting because we watched this one together and we kept commenting like, this is so slow. Like there's so much more time. So Sam, let's hear your number 5.
I mean, Keegan was pretty accurate. It was going to be Phantom Rider. I mean, unlike Keegan, which thinks it was a filler, like it could have easily been added on to Two Face the Gray and then just been like a longer movie and it would have been fine. Like it was like a continuation of like that like kind of trilogy, so I think it was kind of needed. And like I see it from a different light, being in like that kind of more UFO like field where sometimes when you dig too deep, you get like you actually get like followed or disappeared. So like things like that happening, it's kind of like a way of showing it, but like not it actually happening. Because if they were actually being followed and talked to by those people, like both Craig and
Chad.
Chad would not be here anymore. They would have either disappeared or been killed, and then nobody's allowed to talk about why they were killed. That's what happens when sometimes you dig too deep.
I don't know. For me, these two were pretty similar. American Ghost Hunter and Phantom Rider. I think it was pretty easy for me to pick. Honestly, I feel like my top two were pretty easy. My bottom two were pretty easy to pick, and the middle two were pretty easy. I
I
don't know
don't
how
know.
you
These were all kind of hard.
were there.
Like I was, I was torn between this one at this one and the next one at this one. Like at five, like I wasn't really sure where I wanted to place it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I know with my first two, I was not quite sure how I wanted to lean one way or the other. But like today, I just
My number
thought about it.
six was like hand like dead on. Like that was where that one was gonna be. Number six, four and five, I'm still torn about. I still kind of want to swap them about, honestly, but I think I'm gonna keep them the way they are.
So that will bring us to number 4. And Sam, I'll let you start the next two, or at least this one. Sam, what do you think is the fourth best film by Chad?
I'm gonna say Sir No Face, but just by barely beating Phantom Rider. And I kind of chose this one because I mean, it was like the backstory, like to like the whole ghost hunting operation and like how he kind of found them, and then them showing a bunch of footage, them actually going out there, and then it supposedly like closing down. So it was like a good insight into the back one. I think the only reason that I may have had this one here is because I saw Two Face the Gray first. Because otherwise, that may have been flopped around a little bit. But since I watched that second one first and like got intrigued into it to like kind of, I don't know, it like kind of got my interest into seeing like if what he was saying was true. So I think that's why that one kind of is a like on the lower end one.
So for me, my number 4 pick is Two Face the Gray. The reason I put this one below Sir No Face is obviously it does build off of the Sir No Face. But for me, even though we dug a lot more into Sir No Face, and we'll get into that a lot more once we do our deep dive, just Two Face the Gray, it almost falls into that sequel trap that Hollywood movies fall into, where it feels like the same story. Because in Sir No Face, you had him touring for Blood Red Sky, and then this guy shows him the Sir No Face footage. In the second one, he's touring for Blood Red Sky slash Sir No Face, and this guy gives him these UFO files. To me, it almost seemed like, and this isn't a knock on the film, but to me, it seemed like that's kind of the story he wanted to tell. Even in was it American Ghost Hunter, he was like showing UFO stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he like wanted to
I
come
mean, he
back.
talked about it. Like he's talked about it in like all of his films, kind of.
Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me if he always wanted to make a UFO one, and this was like his chance. Which is again not the fault of the movie. That's just kind of like my thoughts on it. I don't know. I just put it down below because again, a lot of it, and then maybe just because he's not in the UFO world, even though it seems like that's where he wanted to be, wasn't like groundbreaking stuff. And I just feel like I've seen it done better by other people, so that's why I put it number 4. Already some mix up. So this is going to be interesting. Our third spot, because I'm interested to see where you go with this one. My number 3 is Sir No Face. Sam, what is your number 3?
Mine is Two Face the Gray.
Okay, so we've just been flip flopping on them. Makes now I'm just like, I wonder what Sam's number one's gonna be.
Right.
So why did you pick Two Face the Gray as number 3?
Mainly, I mean, yes, it is talking about like most of the conspiracies that UFOs have, but like those questions have always kind of like been on my mind on whether or not a lot of that was actually true, but like with how much that they're trying to like put it into the ground, that they're trying to almost hide the fact that maybe some of those like conspiracy theories are actually true. And so I don't know, that's always been like something that I've never been like fully for, but like not fully against either. Like I'm in the between to where like, it's possible, but I don't see it being true. But like, there's definitely a chance that it could be possible. Like, because none of us are ever like, we may never know in this lifetime. Who knows? They could come out and like actually prove like that a lot of that is true, which would be insane and crazy and would completely change and shape the world in a different way. But I doubt we'll ever know in at least this lifetime. But like a lot of those like conspiracies and stuff has just have always been kind of on my mind.
Yeah, so for me, I picked Sir No Face because it felt more just like his film. Granted, he was not the one that found the Sir No Face footage, but it just felt more of his like his personal stuff versus a lot of stuff. Now, this doesn't mean I believe it because obviously there's a lot of stuff we want to go into later, but at least it's pretty straightforward as far as the story that's told. It's relatively well shot, especially considering I think this was his third one he did, but it gives you the same pretty much story beats that you then rehear in the second one. And so I don't know. I think anything from 2 and 3 are built off of the first, and a big part of the first is like debunking the main guy that gave him the footage, and he
Mhm.
never really gives us like good proof that he didn't hoax it before he gave it to Chad. And so right then, after you're already like 2 hours of just like hearing it all might be fake, to go in and then also believe, well, now here's the story, super similar, um, but at the same time, here's a bunch of other conspiracies. So this one's, I guess, just a little bit more easy to take than the second one. But I think they're pretty evenly quality. So I would say it was sort of hard to pick. I just went with the one that was made first just because I felt like it was the thing that kind of A started it all, but the foundation, and without it, obviously, none of the other ones would be there.
Mhm.
Well, maybe because maybe our theory is right. Maybe he would have just made a UFO one.
Yeah. The reason I put, I guess, yeah, the reason I put Sir No Face before Two Face was mainly because the first one was basically him just doing like thousands of questioning, like questioning him, like almost getting angry with them about stuff. And it's just like, dude, for you to lose your cool like that is like kind of unprofessional almost. Yeah, it was just like he was questioning them, but not like really diving into the questioning. So it was just like, I don't know if it would have been just like the Two Face the Gray and then Phantom Rider, I think it still would have been fine. Like I see that first one kind of like almost as a filler, but like it was nice to see like more of what they found on that investigation and like what you see in Two Face the Gray. So like that part of it was nice, but like him kind of going at them with like all the questioning and stuff. Like I guess it makes sense to like really question that type of stuff, but then to like not really do a lot of research behind that afterwards just seemed weird.
I mean, yeah, there's a and we'll get into that a lot more once we do our deep dive. And I think that's for me what hurts the second and third one is they're built on the foundation from this one, and it feels shaky. And then it asks you, hey, we know that one might be shaky, but here's those all these. I mean, then there's conspiracies that have been like thoroughly debunked, and it's like maybe if they
Hmm.
didn't include those, it'd be different. I might, if they didn't include those, I might have put the second one ahead of Sir No Face.
I take everything that is like debunked like just up in the air because it's all he or she for the most part. Like there's actual proof of stuff, but like who knows what's been tampered with that actual proof or what they're actually trying to hide in order to release that stuff. So I always take like when people are like, "No, we definitely know this." I'm like, I mean, you think that, but like if I watch it change down the road and they're like, "No, we actually know it now," and be like, "I don't believe you anymore." Yeah, you
Well,
could believe that you've debunked this for now, but later down the years they're going to find some more proof and then it's just going to be completely changed again. So I mean, think that like this, you could just assume it like as a theory almost, just be like, so this is the theory of what we think has happened. Based off of what we know now, we may find something different in the future, and then people might be more lenient on believing it.
we'll see. Like the one I'm referencing, which I'm sure you know, includes DNA and stuff, but it really has no effect on the UFO stuff. And that's why, even if they
It's
believe,
because he created the bell. Like he was in charge of creating the bell, and then they were also going to Antarctica, and they were like, even as they were losing, they were sending ships to Antarctica. They were sending submarines and other stuff to Antarctica for some nobody. I don't think any of us know nowadays. So that the reason that that was in there was because of that more than anything else.
I don't know, it to me, it just feels like throwing as many conspiracies on the wall because there's enough people that believe in one or the other that they'll grasp it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, the reason a lot of conspiracies fall apart when you dig into them, people in the long run don't like the idea that the world is chaos. They want to believe either in a higher power, or B, that there's like things happen for a reason. And so that's where a lot of the conspiracies fall apart, because it's like, yeah, I mean, that's interesting, but again, it why is that there? Oh, because then it makes these people, it just changes the outlook or like people's importance, when in reality a lot of stuff really is just happenstance or chaos, unfortunately. Like things happen perhaps for a reason, but a lot of times I think it's just random. And a lot of that is just the human mind being like, well, we're important, so obviously there's a bigger plan or bigger idea. And that's why when I think people start throwing all of them at a lot of conspiracies, like this one kind of did, it's just trying to attract as many people rather than go through them and see which ones could be legitimate. And even if you don't believe it, be like, hey, I don't believe this, but there's a lot of good arguments, versus like, here's a ton of different ones. So that's why I put that one lower. It just, I don't know. I do still think without Sir No Face, Two Face, the Gray would have been made in some sort. Obviously, would have been about the footage. But then again, a lot of the stuff seen in this film could have been made without the footage. So I think at some point Chad would have made this, whether he got this or no face footage or not. So yeah, maybe again, maybe I should put it ahead. I don't know. There's our reasoning. Let us know in the comments below. Which one do you think, Sir No Face or Two Face? Also, go on our community page, give it a vote. We're gonna put them all up there, so vote and tell us which one's the best. Ooh, down to our final two, Sam. And this is where we're gonna find out if we agree or not. What's your number two?
A Blood Red Sky.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I picked Blood Red Sky number two as well.
I was about to
It took
say,
me.
put that one first. I'm gonna be like, Keegan, you had so much against that movie, yet you're picking that one as number one.
I to to be fair,
I would
I
have been
almost
surprised.
I
I
almost
would.
picked it as number one. I picked it at number two, just because yeah, I did have a lot where I felt questions about. We'll say, and while it is better film, especially being his second one, it's a lot better than American Ghost Hunter. So we'll give him that. I think the ghost hunting portions are better. I just think overall the one I'm going to pick for number one, it just wrapped it up so nicely. I had no expectations for it to do that. I thought it was just going to be one thing, and it really brought the whole story together. So that's why that one was number one. But yeah, American Blood Red Sky is interesting. I definitely had some
When he wanted
issues.
number two, you guys.
I definitely had some issues with some of the tests or perhaps some of the evidence. But at the same time, it was pretty just a linear storyline, which is, as we're finding, not always, it's more of the rarity versus the norm in Chad films. We've seen a lot of them, and it usually seems like, usually at the beginning, if not at the end, there's just some weird stuff that's put in there, or like put in the beginning that will never come up again. And it's just so quick that either you'll forget about it or you just question it. And so to see this
Right.
one where it was so linear, granted, I guess it did have a little bit at the beginning because I was kind of confused what we were watching, I guess, when we started it.
Yeah, because it was talking about 2012 and the
Yeah,
end of
and
the
then like
world,
all
new
these
beginning.
disasters. Yeah, and then so scratch that. This one also has that formula. It's definitely a Chad film. Um, but at the same time, I think once they get to the castle, they tell a little bit of history. There's some ghost hunting. There's going to be a test, and I think for the majority of it, they're pretty harmless. Chad picked some strange films, obviously, for the one guy to watch. Was his name Justin? But yeah, again, the whole Joe part and the evidence, the one major evidence, I wasn't like sold on. So that's why it drops to number two. But I think it's well made. Why did you pick it for number two?
I mean, one and two were very difficult to actually pick, just because they both were really good. Because like Yeah, like without knowing the ending of a Blood Red Sky, like it just seemed like a really weird. It was confusing. I didn't know what was going on. It almost sounded like he was like, gonna murder his entire team.
Or
Like
at least Joe.
no, it was kind of like the whole team because they were just like they don't know what they're in for. Like he said they, but like I think he was pushing Joe the hardest just because he was working with Joe and Joe's been like a part of his group. And so there might have been like something where he wanted to like really push Joe in like a place that like to push him and like help him like kind of learn a little bit maybe. Because I think what the end goal of that whole thing was. I mean, he took it way too of an extreme to do that, but it seemed like it did work and it changed his perspective a bit on like I don't know how it is. Not really sure. Don't really know. It was definitely interesting and like towards the end I was just like, oh, it's all starting to make sense now. And like that's actually a pretty interesting and like kind of cool test to do, but like still like extreme. It was extreme, but like it was a very interesting test. Like once it all came together, it was it was actually quite fascinating.
Yeah, I know
But
when
at
I
the
was
time,
watching
it's
it,
like, what is happening? Like, oh, are we about to? Are we watching like some like
like a
weird
snuff film.
slasher type film?
Yeah, I know at one point I was like, it feels like he wants to kill Joe. And Sam was a little bit ahead of me, like 10 minutes, I think. And he was like, just wait till you hear what he says next. And I was just like, oh God, it's getting worse. Like,
God,
it was
yeah, it
definitely.
was definitely pretty interesting.
So that brings us to our number one pick. And this one was interesting for me. It's Three Face the Red Sky, and this one was interesting. I'm just kidding. Number one is 74 minutes. It's his most recent
Mine was
one.
Two-Face Great. Just
No, it's 74 minutes, his most recent one. And I didn't know what to expect from it because obviously from the trailer it just seems like it was going to be a compilation film, which it kind of was. But at the same time, it, yeah, but at the same time it like put a nice bow tie, like brought the story full circle. Like things we had seen in American Ghost Hunter, you see here, you hear that story, or it brings callbacks, and it's filmed pretty well as far as the new stuff. You see it filmed just like Phantom Rider or the ending of like Two Face the Gray, where it's just like him. So probably was filmed during like the pandemic era where you couldn't really get outside. I mean, that's kind of how we would have to film. Can't be outside or get nice shots, but it still looked nice. I enjoyed how it was broke down as far as this is EVPs, this is photography, and this is video. It didn't really, I guess, touch too much upon the trilogy, but upon everything else, it brought it so neatly together. And I'm not saying I believe the evidence. I'm just saying story wise, if we were looking at these like they were fiction, like they were all fiction, right? This one would be like a perfect conclusion. Now, I don't know if Chad will ever make more, and if he does, obviously we'll have to come back and re-update this video. But for me right now, even though at first I thought it was gonna be hard because I almost put Blood Red Sky, the more I thought about it, I kind of weighed like how I felt watching that one versus how I felt watching this one, where I was just like, this feels so much different. And even though I enjoyed Blood Red Sky, I just felt much more positive watching this one. So I was like, okay, I got to give it to that one.
I mean, the Blood Red Sky had that anticipation to you're just like, I don't know what he's doing, but like I kind of don't want to stop watching. Like it had that anticipation there where you're just like, I'm not sure I like where this is going, but I'm not going to stop watching it though.
I will say, if you're like squeamish or anything like that, there's some scenes, scenes
Oh, dude, some of
that
those scenes were fucking weird.
yeah you will not want to watch. So just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. That one has lots of flash work, almost like hypnosis, like it was attempting hypnosis type stuff.
It almost reminded me of the scene in Project Blue Book where Hynek is in the old amusement park and he sees like
Yeah, like the mind
yeah
controlling like slide. Yeah,
yeah you
it
almost
definitely
see
did
that
kind of that
yeah
way.
where there's like all the white symbolism and I'm like, is he trying to brainwash us? Maybe that's why I liked it so much. So why did you pick 74 minutes for your number one?
Because we've done a compilation video before of some of the stuff we caught, and it's always like fascinating and like him just like talking about like their journey essentially. Because like it was, I don't, I unlike Keegan, I don't really see this as like a conclusion. I think it was just like possibly him in lockdown and like looking over like his journey so far within like the field that he was in, and like him compiling like a video to that, just being like, hey, you could take this as it is, but this is like what I've found and like what we've been through with like all the people that I was like hanging out with and all that. Like, yeah, like I was watching that and I was just like thinking back on like on many of our adventures that like a lot of them we don't really have much footage from, or if we did, there it's just gone now at this point. But like it like looks back on it of like us just being in there in the moment trying to find stuff, and then like sometimes finding stuff and then it's just gone, or like finding other stuff and like just being like, whoa, what the fuck.
That's his catchphrase.
I was wondering if you really catch on with that. But yeah, no, I enjoyed that one because at the end it was just like, I mean, it like Keegan said, it kind of brought them all together, but like at the same time it was just possibly like a look back on his like journey and such.
Well, and I think perhaps it has a high rating for me because we had just gone through and watched them all back to back to back to back.
Hmm.
And for us, we went through his journey. And so when we got to the ending, and you're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. And I was just like, okay, this is perfect. I'm not saying it's like the end, but if it were, it's a good conclusion.
Right.
So yeah, that was our ranking, the 6 films of Chad. And I don't know. I was interested to see where we would end up, but our top two were on par. We had the same ones. So, you know, tell us in the comments below what you guys think. If you've seen them, if not, check out our reviews, see if you want to see them, or, let us know if you've watched only a couple. What you thought of them? Now, this is not going to be our only one. I think we enjoyed doing this. For our next one, it's going to be a little bit different because we're not watching them back to back to back. Though I might just to at least try to get them fresh in my mind, just because we watched that
You
first
have
one
fun.
awfully. What?
You have fun with that one.
I'm just saying we watched that one awfully a long time ago. It was around my surgery, so I know I was on some medication. So I was like, better watch it again. But yeah, Sam and I are gonna get weaponized.
I rewatch them, but I may not just because I think in both of them I slept through a
I
good
know.
part of them.
That's why I was like, I might wait to watch it in the morning because if I watch it tonight, I probably fall asleep. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this one's really good. But yeah, Sam and I are getting weaponized because we're gonna watch the films of Jeremy Corbell. Now we have watched two already, Bob Lazar as well as Hunt for the Skinwalker. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but then at the end of the day, we'll come back and see which ones we thought were best. I'm not sure. He has about 8 in the upcoming section of IMDb, so we're gonna search around see if any of them have been released. But yeah, we'll let you know. And if you guys have some people you want us to check out and see how their films, we review them and then rank them, let us know in the comments below. I think we enjoyed this. And, you know, like I said, Jeremy's going to be a little bit different. But if we can get into a rhythm of doing them like we did with Chad, I think it would help, especially when we go to rank them.
Then it's
Just
just
because,
fresh in our minds, and it's not we're not doing other reviews or other stuff in between all of that. So it's like you can watch them back to back, and then you just kind of know them instantly. Opposed from Key, you might be right. I might have to rewatch those other two, even though I basically napped through them. I might be able to actually watch them now, or I'll nap through them again, and then I'll just be like, "Well, I didn't really watch these films, but I could tell you which ones are great to sleep to."
Yeah,
I
no,
could do a sleep. As Keegan will do the actual like video like reviews and rankings.
I think watching them all back to back, not only right now just because we haven't watched one of them in a long time, but it made it easier to rank them because they were you when you watch them, you're like, okay, this is the baseline. Okay, I watch this one, I'd rank it lower. You watch another one, okay, this one's better than that one, but worse than that one. And so I think that's what made it easier. Now there's not as many that we know of. I mean, I could go on Tubi and you know, HBO Max, Discovery Plus, Amazon Prime, and maybe find some of these other ones, and then it might change. But no, I think I don't know, it'll be interesting. Not as many, so if you guys have some ideas, please let us know in the comments below. Because this next one's going to be pretty easy for us to catch up on right away. So we are looking for ideas, and if you guys want to watch it, or if you guys want us to talk about it, please let us know. We are always happy to take your ideas on. Well, any final words to Chad, Sam, as we leave him to journey on to the world of Jeremy Corbell?
I guess thank you because my cousin put me on to Two Face the Gray, and then we kind of went on this journey. And like, I'm not complaining that we went on it. It was definitely it's an interesting journey.
Yeah, no, it's been completely
Sure.
different to anything we've ever done before, film wise.
Yeah.
Um, I've enjoyed it. Maybe I didn't enjoy all the films, but I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed kind of seeing, Chad's life in a way and his journey. And maybe it helped me put aside some of my what?
Keegan getting some new film techniques in there.
I mean, I will tell you the zoom in on the eyes, but everything's on or blurry. I thought that's a beautiful idea. I think I'm going to use that. Definitely when we do some high class like interviews. No, I'm just kidding. No, it also like there.
While we were filming one time, multiple times. I'm pretty sure you've had to edit those out.
Yeah, I do remember this. Um,
I mean, Keegan does it. You'll see with our in one of our longest videos that we're going to put out here soon. You'll see Keegan has that same technique, but it's not humans that he zooms up on.
Sam just wants us to make a 12 and 24-hour Allosaurus video. He's upped it. He said, you know what? Not just the Allosaurus at the Denver Museum for 12 hours. What about Big Al at Laramie for 24? Like, I'm getting worried. At some point, we're just going to have to live stream for hours.
No, we don't have to have it just that one. The 24-hour could be multiple Allosaurus across many different places.
I mean, that's what you say now, but we're going to get there and you're like, nah, 24. We'll get to New York and you're like, hey,
Talked
we
about
did
the idea
12.
first, and then I'm just pushing you to do it now because you were. There was a minute that like we were literally going to the Denver Museum like every weekend, and
Which they
every time
actually have a
he
free
was
weekend
like
coming up.
we lose weekend, he was found by the Allosaurus. So we were just like, I was just like, dude, might as well make it 12-hour, and you're just like, I might, and we're doing it now. Like it's happening. Keegan, there's no choice of that. It's happening.
No, I mean, they got their free day coming up in 13 days. Might have to journey on down and take a look at that Allosaurus. A big
Taking
reason
it
why,
serious. Like, how long are we gonna be here? A
all
good
day,
10+ hours, and she'd be like, "Ah!"
just at the Allosaurus. No, I mean, at some point, I do want to make a legit fossil frenzy episode about the Woods Allosaurus there because it's a fascinating story of how it was found, where it was found here in Colorado, um, and then how it was eventually brought here. Plus, that's such an iconic mount. I mean, if you look at a lot of dinosaur books, it always shows up. Plus, it's paired with Kessler Stegosaurus that my great grandfather helped with. So lots of good stuff. But yeah, we'll get into that. Got lots of cool stuff coming up this year. That's another good thing about this little series we did is it frees up some more of our time to focus on different projects, especially the depth of some of these projects we want to do. Like we said, diving into the trilogy or our upcoming Roswell stuff, or trying to work on that Billy the Kid documentary. I mean, we got some bigger projects that we want to really set aside, make good, really make good for you guys. And so this is great for us. It helps free up time and gives us more research time. But I know Sam's really excited to dive into Jeremy. He told me he thinks he's going to binge him. I just got the text message right here. I'll read it to you. It says, "Please don't read on camera, but I cannot wait to get out some popcorn and some of that whiskey and bourbon and watch these films." I'm just kidding. Sam didn't say that. But just final word with the series, it also brought me back to some series or topics that I don't think personally I would have come back to. So in a way, it was closure on my end as well. Just letting that go. So that was nice as well. So do we recommend them all? Probably not. But do we recommend you go on the journey? Hey, you might find it really entertaining like we did. So it's worth a
Sam's
shot,
pretty.
perhaps. You know, if you just don't finish one or two, like we wouldn't blame you. We understand there's a couple that were hard, but you know, it's
Yeah,
not all of them
there's
have been the worst thing ever.
second one seemed a lot better than like I would say majority of the trilogy itself.
Mhm.
Like his second one seemed really good compared to the trilogy, and like that like those were his next films, and then A Blood Red Sky was made. But like it was done oppositely, which was interesting. I mean, you could definitely tell that they were done close to the same time, at least the majority of them. 74 minutes, I'm not too terribly sure because it almost looked like his beard got like grayer, and like that might be like a more newer film, or at least the parts where he recorded himself might be newer. But like I don't really know.
Yeah, it doesn't have a year on IMDb right now, so it could be at least 2 year difference, perhaps. So I mean, there's probably a good amount of time. So does that mean in 2 years we'll have another film? I guess we'll find out.
Because there's still that to be continued after
I think
Phantom.
that just leads into this one. 74 minutes, I think. Because I think at first I thought it meant to be continued with like the Sir No Face stuff, but maybe it just says to be continued with his journey. But yeah,
Maybe
that was our breakdown. I hope you guys don't hate us too much if we ranked one that you really love low, or if we ranked one really high that you hate. So I mean, I guess if we did, let us know in the comments which one we got wrong. You know, hey, we're only human. It's subjective, right?
we're just saying how we feel about them, so everybody can view it differently.
Yeah, if we ranked one like say American Ghost Hunter or Phantom Rider were your favorite, and we ranked them our least favorites, and you love them, hey, that's totally fine. Everyone's different. Everyone has different things they want to see in a movie. So you know, we just go into these. We've watched a lot of films now, so we just see things a little bit different, I guess. But hey, everyone's open to their opinions. Let us know in the comments below, though. I would love to hear which ones we got right or which ones we got wrong. Because, like I said, everyone has different opinions. So let us know.
True. And there's a lot of times like I'm even guilty of it where like you hear one thing or watch one thing and it kind of just like throws that like vote for you opposed from you like getting past that part and then just like seeing it openly as you did when you first started it. Like I've definitely been guilty about that. And I'll probably mention that with our upcoming series just because there's a lot that like threw me off about it. Or I might stay the same where like I've honestly like thinking about watching these videos, I've like thought of a good thing to talk about with like how he films it. But you'll hear me talk about if I still have that same opinion when I watch them again.
I'm definitely gonna watch them again. I just know I felt really strongly on number two, and having watched number one, I might not feel as strongly against number two.
Number two.
Just kind of like this one, I thought I was gonna be pretty biased against Chad and especially American Ghost Hunter just because of one thing. And I think I was not as much biased as I thought I probably could have been. I think I was actually pretty open. I surprised
Mhm.
myself. So
You definitely
yeah, no,
are. It was hard. It was hard.
just start crying.
It was hard.
But before we end off as well, Chad, if you want to come in, we haven't done our deep dive yet. So if you want to come in, just answer some of our questions or even help with the deep dive, just help explain some more stuff. Because hey, you're limited to a couple hours. Maybe there's a lot more story that we did not hear. Feel free to reach out. We would love to have you on Cool's interviews. So yeah, if you're watching this, Chad, join us. We would love to talk more about all your films. Maybe why you filmed American Ghost. No, I know it was like music inspired or something. I feel like it had to be like old 90s grunge music videos or something. But yeah, there's our first ever like filmography ranking, like the films of, which I think we're gonna make a series, best film of so and so. So when the next one comes out, like we said, it won't be too far away. Click that link to my left to see more about what we're doing here on Cool's Paranormal, because usually it's not all about Chad. Click that link to your right. And don't forget to hit that like and give us a
Subscribe.
subscribe.
Switch that notification bell from personalized to all if you want to see some of our upcoming reviews and documentaries.
And let us know for sure which person do you want us to next look at their filmography,